All right, guys, how's it going? Now, before I get into this video, just in case you're new around these parts, I'm not very well. I've been badly for about 4 weeks. I just started some antibiotics today, finally. Coughing, spluttering, you know what it's like when you're not well. Exceptionally tired. I didn't sleep last night, so my concentration is just terrible at the moment. So I'm just explaining that in case I get confused or if I start coughing and everything. I'm trying not to. But please don't get angry or cross with me, all right? I'm just not well, all right? But I didn't want to put this off. I really need to discuss it. So what we will do is I have already gone through the Spanish football dailies in another video. Nothing in them really other than this. Now, those of you that have been around here a while know that I suggested that as the month of October went on, we would start to see more and more about Trent and Real Madrid. And, you know, because we have a game coming up against them, and the Spanish Giants are notorious for trying to destabilise things. And in the roots of the game I expect we'll see even more, right? Now, just to give you a bit of background on this particular newspaper, this one is basically Real Madrid's mouthpiece. And Real Madrid is extremely influential. If you think that Paul Joyce at the Times is writing what Liverpool want him to say, well, there's an element of truth in it, you know, like lean on him and maybe plant the seed or whatever, and same with Ornstein at the Athletic. But Liverpool Football Club don't say, we need you to do this or do this. Do you know what I mean? Real Madrid do. Real Madrid basically write the news in this newspaper. So I predicted that we would see more, stuff come out in October as the month went on. See, I've already lost my trail of thought. Yesterday, I said that I thought today would be important and that we would see something regarding Trent in one of these three Spanish football dailies. And I said I expect it to be this one. And that is exactly what has happened. So I wasn't surprised when I went this morning to get the papers and saw Trent on the front page. The reason I felt it would be this one is because there's a journalist called... I think it's Felix. What's his name? Yes. Jose Felix Diaz. Jose Diaz. He, basically had touched on this briefly yesterday online. Didn't say there'd be anything in here today, but it made it sound like something was coming. So, and he is the journalist responsible for this article, Jose Felix Diaz, okay, in Madrid, of course. Now, the front page, right, I have got quite a few notes here, which I will try and explain as best as possible. So Liverpool already knows that he won't renew, is the claim by Real Madrid here. I think it says here that they're searching for, right-sided defender and centre-backs. What else did it say? Looking for reinforcements on the right side and in the centre of defence. If any deal is made, it will be signed in January. And that's not just in relation to Trent. And then we go inside, and it's it's quite a large write-up in here, which makes you think, wow, this is serious. But to be honest with you guys, there isn't much actually said about Trent Alexander-Arnold in this article, right? So, I mean, there's a couple of different things mentioned there, but there are other players that are mentioned as options as well. Now, rather than keep turning to the paper and getting confused, I went to the cafe this morning for my coffee. It's full of Spanish workmen, and my friends are there, and they help me with pronunciations, which is, I could do with some people helping me pronounce English words, to be honest with you. And they basically help me as well with what's been said. I don't want to lift the paper up, but it actually says, a search in the market is the inside headline, with the subheadline of Alexander-Arnold can change the white strategy. And let's continue. Real Madrid is searching the market, and the search has begun in recent days, all right? In other words, they're stepping things up. It's begun during the international break, if you like, because they've had time to sit down and discuss things. Now, if you remember rightly, when I flew from Spain to England last Friday, I did a morning briefing, a review of the newspapers. And it said that the trio at Real Madrid, the manager, the chief executive, sporting director, had a meeting about discussing the needs of the team, and that they needed to do something in January, and that they were going to go to Perez, the club president, and try and convince him that they needed to do something. They needed options. And I explained all that to you on Friday. This would appear to be a follow-up from that. So they've gone and met Perez. Now, Perez is very reluctant to do business during a winter transfer window for Real Madrid. I think it's been 5 years or something like that since they've done anything. I don't know. I do not follow Real Madrid. It's just from what I've been reading in the last few weeks. Now, also the message has been consistently that if they're going to do any business, it's got to be on the cheap, right? They want bargains. They don't want to be like splashing a fortune or anything like that. I know we say, well, no club wants to. Everyone wants a bargain. Sometimes you have to pay, you know what I mean? You pay top dollar. And Real Madrid have not usually been scared of doing that, right? So they had that meeting, that emergency meeting. They've used the international break to go and sit down and to discuss things. That's basically the message behind the articles and this article today. I'll keep going. I hope you're with me so far. So they started looking at things at the beginning of the season, right? You know, like what they might do, you know, next year, the next windows or whatever. And then there was the Danny Carvajal injury, right? Which has accelerated the search process with an eye on the January market as a possible emergency solution, as long as something interesting appears and fits what the club demands in terms of strategy. In other words, getting players on the cheap, looking for a bargain in January. And I remember saying on the Friday last week, that could affect Trent because he wants to be if he was to leave, excuse me, if he was to leave, if he signed for Real Madrid in January, then he's waiving a huge signing on fee, and so is his agent. So no player really wants to do that. So, but if he's desperate to go to Real Madrid, then I guess he would. But then, are Liverpool willing to sell him in January? And if so, they would command it. There would be a fee. It would be commanded, right? Liverpool would want money, and that's going to put Real Madrid off. So I thought that kind of like that was the message that was from that meeting of the manager, the CEO, the director of football. That was the message at the meeting, was that, well, Trent Alexander-Arnold's a good option, for next year, but if we want him in January, we're going to have to pay money. And if they buy someone in January, then that would scupper Trent's free transfer possibilities, right, if he wanted to go there. I'm really, really sorry if I'm not making fucking sense. Anyway, they know it shouldn't be a stopgap. So Real Madrid know that they don't just want to go out and spend money just like on a temporary issue. It has to be someone for the future. Which is exactly what it says here, but a player who can contribute and add in the coming years. In this parameter, one name stands out above all, Alexander-Arnold. This is what I'm reading from these inside pages, okay? The Englishman from Liverpool has already been mentioned in more than one conversation at Valdebebas, which I believe is the name for Real Madrid's training facilities. And his name, like others, is in the information gathering phase. So they're not saying that, this article isn't saying that they're going all out for him, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, or contacts being made. They're in the preliminary stages. In other words, sounding out, right? And as I've said to you consistently over the last couple of weeks, he's not the only name that's been mentioned with Real Madrid, right? There is Frimpong, of course. There is... and these, I don't think Frimpong is mentioned in this article, but there's others that were mentioned as well that I've seen elsewhere in Spain. Tottenham's Spain international Pedro Porro, and 21-year-old Spain youth international Juan Lu of Sevilla has also been mentioned, right? And this is a message, this has been conveyed by Spanish journalists over the last couple of weeks, certainly since that Friday, is that, yeah, Trent is on, under consideration, but some people have said he's not even first choice. So let's go back to the article, though. The one that, right, so they talk about Frimpong in this journalist talks about Frimpong, but he is under contract until 2027, and that would increase the cost of the operation, the signing, the deal. The sports management handles more names, but the one most talked about internally at Real Madrid, according to this journalist, is Alexander-Arnold. What has changed in recent days, right? In other words, why have they suddenly got this interest? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because if you only follow the click, the LFC click journalists, you know, the ones in that little group and that, you probably think that Real Madrid have been sniffing around him forever, right? This is saying here, what's changed in recent days? So why are Real Madrid suddenly interested in him? And I believe it stems from that meeting that trio had, right, that we discussed the other week. And obviously, there is the injury as well to Carvajal, right? Okay, but this is saying what's changed in recent days, last few days. They talk about the need to sign, they need to strengthen the defence and not just on that right side. Again, we've spoke about that previously. Now it's saying there's a subheading tension in Valdebebas, which is their training facility, right? So they're saying that the situation has raised tension within the club, but they don't want to argue about the past, what was done or not done in the summer. And they want to talk more about what can be done more or less closely, like now, like the January window. Hence, the option of signing in winter increases as the days go by. So many people think that Real Madrid will enter the window in January, which is something that they haven't done for some time. The agreement about that is growing within the club, which I suspect that means that they're getting Perez to come round to that way of thinking, because previously the other three, the manager, the sporting director, the CEO, they all want to do something in January. So if they're saying that there is, the agreement is growing, then you have to suspect that means Perez. The leaders of Real Madrid wanted to sign Lenny Euro in the summer, but the operation did not align with what the club intends for its signings, and the idea was abandoned. The offer to the player from Manchester United multiplied almost 5 times what was offered by Real Madrid. No further search was made, but from that moment they knew that this position sooner or later had to be reinforced. Hence the market is being scoured in search of finding a player who can fit beyond Alaba's response and the timing of his return to the field. In terms of the fullback position, Alexander-Arnold, due to his appeal and his contract ending in June, is generating the most expectations. Without direct contact, right, Real Madrid already knows that Liverpool know he will not renew his contract. Now, I want you to pay specific attention to that, because they're saying without direct contact, right? So they haven't made direct contact, but someone has informed Real Madrid that Liverpool already know that he's not going to renew his contract. Now, I don't know if I would believe that or not, because it's a very bold statement, and it is, of course, the main headline on the front page. Liverpool already know he won't renew. You have to decide whether this is Real Madrid mind games or whether there's some truth in this. And if there is truth in this, and Real Madrid are being told that, who do you think would be telling Real Madrid this? You know, who's conveying that message without direct contact? You know what I mean? Like, if they're not talking to Liverpool, who's telling them this, right? So they could discuss a possible transfer in winter, but in exchange for a significant amount of money. Because if Liverpool say, look, we know we're going to lose him, yeah, you can have him in January because they want someone in January, right? Real Madrid might be willing to pay a little bit, but Liverpool are certainly going to try and do what they can to. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call on my phone at the same time. It's putting me off. Liverpool would do what they can to get revenue for that if they would agree to leave to him to leave. But how much would Liverpool be saying? Right, well, this is what we want, because I don't think Real Madrid are going to be willing to do that, right? They do say that there's possible there could be a transfer in winter, but in exchange for a significant amount of money. Whether the club decides to enter into this operation will depend on what happens in the coming weeks with the performance and solutions provided by Ancelotti's squad. So in other words, the stronger Real Madrid's are, their performances in the run-up, the less likely they are to offer money, maybe. If things are not going well, in the approach to January, that transfer window, maybe they will turn around and say, how much would you take for him now? Do you know what I mean? But it sounds like they're still reluctant to enter and spend substantial money in January. And I think I could probably go on and waffle on for a lot longer, but that is really, in a nutshell, what it says. Now, there isn't a great deal in this article about Trent. You know, there's nowhere in there is it saying he wants to move. No one's saying that they spoke to his agent. Liverpool, you know, I just don't. I don't know what to make of it all. To be honest with you, my friend's trying to call me again. He's gonna have to wait a minute. So that's all I can do is tell you what's being said here and give you those key points. I just don't know if I've explained it well enough to you. You know, I'm just not on form. I'm just going to quickly go through my notes again. All right, I'm not going to go through all that again with you. The search has begun in recent days, right? Not in the summer, not weeks ago, but recent days. Obviously, that injury to Carvajal has accelerated the search process. Maybe a possible emergency solution could be found in January, something that appears and fits the club demands in terms of strategy. Remember, the second headline in the newspaper was Alexander-Arnold can change the white strategy, so maybe they would be willing to spend some money. It shouldn't be a stopgap signing. Someone who can contribute for the coming years. Trent Alexander-Arnold stands out as being the obvious thought there. Frimpong being considered, along with Pedro Porro and Juan Lu as well. But Frimpong under contract until 2027, so that would increase the cost of that. Obviously, they wouldn't have that with Alexander-Arnold. They want to look at reinforcing different areas of the defence, not just the right-back position. Tension within the club as to, you know, how they're in this situation. In other words, I think they should have done something before. The president doesn't really want to do anything and doesn't like to do anything in the winter window, but the option of signing in winter increases as the days goes by as well. You have to keep an eye on Real Madrid's results over the coming weeks, right? The market is being scoured in search of finding a player who can fit. Without direct contact, Real Madrid already know that Liverpool know he will not renew his contract, but that don't take it as gospel, right? That's just what they're claiming, and that's about it, really. I think it, you know, the headline, the big picture of Trent there, the big write-up inside and Trent, no pictures of, you know, other players really, kind of makes me think that Real Madrid want this out there, want this link out there. Whether that is already part of the mind games ahead of the game against them or not, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe I'll get my head around that. But what I'm trying to say to you is, you know, I study things and I analyse things, right? What I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of emphasis on Arnold here, but when you actually read the report, it's not gushing about Arnold. It's not going on about how great he is, they just say he's one of the names and he's at the forefront. He could be a bag, and depending on how results go and if everyone's on the same page, no direct contact as yet. So I think the best thing I can do now is to shut the fuck up and let you guys. I'm not really interested in what casual viewers are coming in and thinking. I know you guys that are with me all the time just want me to be well. But let me know if I've done all right with the video, please. And what you make of that. Are you on the same page as me here? No pun intended. In that, yeah, this is a big, scary, like article that spawned all these other articles. But actually, in everything I've just said to you, is there a great deal of new in there? Like what's in that article that we don't already know? The only one thing, if it's accurate, is that Liverpool know that he won't renew. And if that's true, then that is significant. But it doesn't go into details about things. So I'll leave it with you. I do have another really, really important video to make for you today, which I'm going to attempt to do now. which will be for channel members, because it's very sensitive, very, very strange email that I received yesterday. And I don't know, maybe I'll have a rest and then get it out at some point. That's what she said. But there is something that I do need to talk to you about, to do with rumoured interest in the club and some really specific claims. But we'll look at that later. All right, guys, I'm going to go. I'm really, really sorry that I've struggled with this video, but I didn't want to leave it at all, because I think that if you see a picture of that in a news article somewhere and hear of all these things, you'll just take what they're saying as gospel. Well, you know, when I'm looking at the computer, the click journalists and the content creators, and it might worry you a little bit. And maybe we should be worried if you really like Trent Alexander-Arnold. But despite the emphasis of a front page, I don't see a lot in there to be worried about, to be honest with you. It doesn't say in there they've made him, #1 target. They're going for him all out to get him. They might do. We might see that later in the week, but right there it doesn't say that. They're also talking about the other candidates. I guess he's the cheapest one, maybe. That's what Perez would want. But would Liverpool sell him in January? Would you sell him in January? I guess if you're going to lose him for fuck all, you would, wouldn't you? But how much would the player want to move to Real Madrid? Is he willing to give up his big payday and go, I'm off to play Real Madrid with my pal? I'm sure Trent is happy with seeing that today, to be honest with you, because I think him and his agent are wanting to see this kind of coverage from Spain. I will keep an eye on things for you. And yeah, again, I'm really, really sorry, but I'm not well. So I did my best. All right, guys, if you do appreciate the video, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment with what you think about what I've just said. I can assure you that I've not missed anything out. And yeah, I was going to say, if you want to buy me a beer or a coffee, hit the super thanks button under the video. But to be honest with you, I don't think I want anything. I just want to get better. All right, guys, I'll try and catch up with you as soon as possible. I don't think I'll be doing any live streams today. All right, take it easy, man.